Hi everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we'll be discussing about tax with respect to its management, planning, evasion, and avoidance. So we have to understand and the difference. What is tax management? What is tax planning? What is tax evasion? And what is tax avoidance? So first, tax planning and tax management. That are the main two topics. Only when we understand tax planning and tax management, we can understand what is the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. So, with respect to tax planning is a strategic process designed to optimize an individual's financial affairs in a manner that maximizes all legitimate deductions, exemptions, allowances, and rebates, ultimately resulting in a minimized tax liability. The objective is to identify the most effective tax planning strategies and apply them to one's financial situation while remaining in full compliance with all applicable tax laws and regulations. So, with respect to tax planning, there is nothing illegal. That it is a very good practice. All that we do is like we are strategizing how our income should be given or how we can minimize the tax liability by using the legitimate provisions we have with the law, that is with the legitimate deductions, exceptions, allowances, and rebates. And here, by proactively planning ahead, individuals can take advantage of every available opportunity to minimize their tax burden while ensuring that their financial affairs are structured in a manner that is both efficient and effective. And then the next question is, what is tax management? So we discussed about tax planning, and now what is tax management? What is the difference between planning and management? So tax management is a critical process used by taxpayers to ensure full compliance with tax laws and regulations. It encompasses all aspects of tax related activities, including penalties, appeals, prosecutions, and tax case settlements. Through effective tax management strategies, individuals can analyze their past, present, and future tax obligations to ensure full compliance with all applicable laws and avoid penalties and interest charges. So, tax planning is what we are going to do with the present and future. We are going to plan with the present and future income to reduce the tax liability to the most. But when it comes to management, we are considering the past, present, and future, and we are considering the obligations. And what we are trying to do is we have to ensure that we have full compliance with the tax laws and all the applicable laws to avoid penalties and interest charges. So in planning, what we do is the present and future, and we're trying to reduce the tax liability on the income. Now, in management, we consider past, present, and future. Here we are trying to reduce the tax liability by adhering to all the applicable laws so that we don't have to, we can avoid any penalties and interest charges. Unlike tax planning, tax management is a mandatory requirement for all taxpayers. So, tax planning is a preferred practice, or it is preferred everyone does tax planning. But here, tax management is mandatory. It's a mandatory requirement for all taxpayers, making it essential to remain vigilant and up to date with all the tax related activities. Failure to comply with tax laws and regulations can result in interest, penalties, and other legal consequences. As such, taxpayers must remain fully informed and engaged with all aspects of tax management to avoid these potential risks and ensure continued compliance with all applicable tax laws and regulations. So that is tax planning and tax management. Now let's understand the difference. So tax planning and tax management. Tax planning involves maximizing legal deductions and credits to lower your tax bill. Now, tax management, on the other hand, is a proactive approach to minimizing your annual taxes. It focuses on reducing taxable income to minimize your tax liability. So, First, let's look with the aspect of definition. Tax planning, the process of identifying tax saving opportunities. So, tax planning is defined as the process of identifying tax saving opportunities. Now, with respect to tax management, it is defined as the process of implementing tax saving strategies. So, in tax planning, it is a process of identifying tax saving opportunities, and in tax management, it is a process of implementing tax saving strategies. Now, with respect to goal, tax planning, the goal is to minimize tax liability by legally reducing taxes. Whereas in tax management, the goal is to optimize tax burden and ensure compliance. Now, with respect to the focus, tax planning focus on future tax liabilities, whereas tax management focus on past and present liabilities. Tax planning is done for a long-term base and tax management is a short-term one. That is a time frame base. Now, the scope of tax planning is comprehensive, whereas the scope of tax management is limited to specific tax issues or situations. Now the activities in tax planning is analyzing tax implications of businesses and decisions. Now the tax management activity is filing of tax return, paying of tax, resolving disputes, that is to adhere comply with the applicable laws. Now the involvement in tax planning is typically handled by tax professionals, whereas in tax management, it is handled by taxpayers and tax professionals. So that is the basic difference between tax planning and management. The main one is that tax planning is identifying of tax saving opportunities, whereas tax management is the process of implementing tax saving techniques. Now towards tax evasion and tax avoidance. So the both does seem similar in general sense, but it is not same. Where tax evasion is, we are it's not reducing of tax liability, but instead we are using illegal means to avoid paying of tax. That can be by misrepresentation in the accounts and books, or underreporting your income from anything, or tax fraud, that is intentionally not paying the tax. Such means. Now, tax avoidance, that is not illegal means, but we are taking advantage of the loopholes, lacuna, or any voidness in the law, that is adjustment of accounts so that it is not in contravention to any provisions of the law, so that there is no tax liability. Then avoid tax payment within the limits of law. If there is any tax, or if there is any deduction, if there is an instance that we can avail a tax exemption for a donation to charity, so for that purpose we are making donation. Such cases are come under tax avoidance. Here we are not doing anything illegal in tax avoidance, or it's all lawful activities, but we are taking advantages of all loopholes or any lacuna in the tax regime or the tax laws or the applicable laws. So the basic difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion is that the main one is tax avoidance is legal, but it can become illegal in certain illegal or an act that can be imposed with penalty in certain cases. But in generally, tax avoidance is legal and tax evasion is illegal. Now, tax avoidance avail legal loopholes, whereas tax evasion employ illegitimate means. So, the means under tax avoidance is legitimate by law, and in tax evasion, they employ illegitimate means. Now, tax avoidance is done before the tax liability is made out. So in tax evasion, it is done after the tax liability is made out. Now, in tax avoidance, penalty or imprisonment would be applicable if what we do is violative of any rules. That is, there is a if condition, penalty or imprisonment in case of tax avoidance, only if the act we does is violation of any rules. Now, in tax evasion, penalty or imprisonment is for sure, because that is by illegal means. So that is a basic difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. And we also discuss what is tax planning and what is tax management, and how each of these are different. That is, tax planning is not the same as tax management, tax evasion is not the same as tax avoidance, and tax planning or tax management is not the same as either tax evasion or tax avoidance. So each of these terms are different, they have a different meaning. So that is discussed in this video. And now, thank you. That is end of the session. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And do let me know your feedbacks in the comment section. And thank you, everyone. Have a nice day and bye.